evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. It is this week the year anniversary, the beginning of the Robert Mueller Russia investigation. And at the end of that period, we have discovered there is still no evidence at all of collusion between the Donald Trump for president campaign of 2016 and the Russian government. But Mueller's many supporters in Washington don't seem to care about that. That's because the investigation was never about Russia, obviously. The whole absurd fever dream was always a way for the ruling class to feel better about losing power in 2016. It was a way for them to avoid thinking about why Trump got elected, and they never have thought about it. Along the way, the investigation has provided Democrats with a full year of government-funded Oppo research and destroyed the lives of a number of people who supported Donald Trump. Those are added bonuses from the Democratic perspective. But there have been downsides for Democrats. Voters are not impressed by the Russia story. It is weird and false and confusing. It has precisely nothing to do with voters' actual lives or the issues they vote on. It's a total waste of time for everyone, and yet it's all Democrats have. Trump is evil, so is Russia. That's the entire progressive program of 2018 summarized in 2 sentences. If the Democratic Party had a Sermon on the Mount, those would be the Beatitudes. No wonder their approval numbers are falling. Republican Congressman Todd Rokita of Indiana has introduced a resolution calling for an end to Mueller's investigation or a report within 30 days. He joins us along with fellow Republican Ron DeSantis of Florida. He says he may know the identity of the person who spied on Trump's campaign for the FBI in 2016. Gentlemen, welcome to you both tonight. Congressman Rokita, first to you. So this resolution would call for an end to the investigation or a report summarizing its findings so far. Am I misstating that?
No, both's correct, Tucker. The fact of the matter is, it's been a year, as you say. It's been $20 million, and we need to see a report of what evidence he has. And absent that evidence, it should wind up within 30 days of the resolution passing.
So why wouldn't other members on both sides in the Congress want some oversight? I mean, you're constitutionally bound to provide oversight of the DOJ, so why are you the only person calling for this?
Well, I'm not. Matt Gaetz is also calling for it. There's a couple others calling for it, but we need your viewers to call your members of Congress and get them on board. You can only have a free republic, as you know, Tucker, if you have transparency, and this is exactly what we need. It is a witch hunt. It's gone beyond an investigation, and the only evidence of collusion that we found, and the only evidence of criminality, has been on the Democrats. So we're calling on Mueller to show his hand or fold the deck.
Even if I believe the president colluded with Vladimir Putin, I'd be very concerned about this investigation because the parameters aren't clear, the timeline is opaque, and it's not clear what the point is. So, Congressman DeSantis, one of the enduring mysteries of the past 2 weeks has been the story of a mole or spy within the Trump campaign feeding information to the Russia investigation. Have you any sense who that person might be?
Look, I do, Tucker, but I think that the issue needs to go through the proper channels. I'm not comfortable disclosing who I think it is based on the evidence that I have, but I could say this. The American people deserve an answer, up or down. Did the FBI direct somebody to spy on Donald Trump's campaign? Was somebody actively working to undermine his campaign and create the illusion of collusion? And if that's the case, right, I think that's more serious than the FISA abuse. I think it's more serious than Rosenstein butchering this whole appointing order with Mueller from the beginning. So we need the answer to those questions.
Shocking.
And they are not giving us the answers now, Tucker.
They're definitely not. Now, I know you don't want to risk libel by naming someone because this has not been proved in court. So, but give us a sense of what you're talking about. Are you saying that someone who worked on the Trump campaign fed information to law enforcement?
So if you look at Glenn Simpson's testimony from Fusion GPS,
yes,
he talked about there being a human source. And that was something that was controversial at the time. Some people said it was Papadopoulos. It's not Papadopoulos. That's not what he was referring to. So the issue is he acknowledges there's a human source. Peter Strzok, he opens up the counterintelligence investigation in the summer of 2016. What does he do the next day? He goes to Great Britain, he goes to London, and he's meeting with people. Well, how the heck would you do that if you just opened the investigation that day? So I think in that kind of the London, Christopher Steele, Glenn Simpson axis is probably the individual that we're looking at. But I mean, look, we need to know whether this individual was spying or not. I have grave concerns about it, but I think we can get those questions answered when the Justice Department ponies up the documents.
You're absolutely right. But last follow-up on that is, are you suggesting or do you believe that this is someone who is pressured into cooperating with the investigation, or someone who freely sent information over about the campaign?
Oh, I think it's the latter, Tucker. I think that this would be somebody potentially could have been paid by the FBI. You know, like Steele was there was an agreement to pay Steele.
Right.
So we just need to answer that. Did they pay anybody? Yes or no?
Well,
did they direct anyone to go to the campaign? Yes or no? Very easy questions to answer.
And Tucker, we need to know. I mean,
this
Ron
is the
DeSantis
Obama well, you're exactly. I'm sorry, Congressman. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Ron DeSantis is exactly right. We also need to know the relationship between Mueller and Comey. I mean, Comey kicked this whole thing off with a bogus FISA warrant. And what is the relationship between Mueller and Comey? Did Mueller give Comey immunity? Does Comey think he's above the law? Where are we going with all this? That's what needs to be investigated.
Do you believe, quickly, Congressman, do you believe that Jim Comey has been offered immunity by the Mueller investigation?
Well, I think it stands to reason, and I think the American people deserve to know.
That would be shocking. Congressman, thank you both. I appreciate that. I hope you get to the bottom of those. We have a right to know.
Thanks, Doug.